The habit contract. The first seatbelt was passed in New York on December 1, 1984. At the time, just 14% of people in the United States regularly wore a seatbelt. But that was all about to change. Within 5 years, over half of the nation has seatbelt laws. Today, wearing a seatbelt is enforceable by the law in 49 of the 50 states. It is not just the legislation. The number of people wearing seatbelts has changed dramatically as well. In 2016, over 88% of Americans buckled up each time they got in a car. In just over 30 years, there was a complete reversal in the habits of millions of people. Laws and regulations are an example of how government can change our habits by recreating social contract. As a society, we collectively agree to abide by certain rules and then enforce them as a group. Whenever a new piece of legislation impacts behavior, seatbelt laws, banning smoking inside restaurants, mandatory recycling, it is an example of social contract shaping our habits. The group agrees to act in a certain way, and if you don't follow along, you'll be punished. Just as governments use laws to hold citizens accountable, you can create a habit contract to hold yourself accountable. A habit contract is a verbal or written agreement in which you state your commitment to a particular habit and the punishment that will occur if you don't follow through. Then you find one or two people to act as your accountability partners and sign off on the contract with you. Brian Harris, an entrepreneur from Nashville, Tennessee, was the first person I saw put this strategy into action. Shortly after the birth of his son, Harris realized he wanted to shed a few pounds. He wrote up a habit contract between himself, his wife, and his personal trainer. The first version read, Brian's number one objective for Q1 of 2017 is to start eating correctly again so he feels better, looks better, and is able to hit his long-term goal of 200 pounds at 10% body fat. Below that statement, Harris laid out a roadmap for achieving his ideal outcome. Phase 1. Get back to a strict slow carb diet in Q1. Phase 2. Start a strict macronutrient tracking program in Q2. Phase 3. Refine and maintain the details of his diet and workout program in Q3. Finally, he wrote out each of the daily habits that would get him to his goal. For example, write down all food that he consumes each day and weigh himself each day. And then he listed a punishment if he failed. If Brian doesn't do these two items, then the following consequence will be enforced. He will have to dress up each workday and each Sunday morning for the rest of the quarter. Dress up is defined as that wearing jeans, t-shirts, hoodies, or shorts. He will also give Joey, his trainer, $200 to use as he sees fit if he misses one day of logging food. At the bottom of the page, Harris, his wife, and his trainer all signed the contract. My initial reaction was that a contract like this seemed overly formal and unnecessary, especially the signatures. But Harris convinced me that signing the contract was an indication of his seriousness. Anytime I skip this part, he said, I start slacking almost immediately. 3 months later, after hitting his targets for Q1, Harris upgraded his goals. The consequences escalated too. If he missed his carbohydrate and protein targets, he had to pay his trainer $100. And if he failed to weigh himself, he had to give his wife $500 to use as she saw fit. Perhaps most painfully, if he forgot to run sprints, he had to dress up for work every day, and wear an Alabama hat the rest of the quarter, the bitter rival of his beloved Auburn team. The strategy worked, with his wife and trainer acting as accountability partners and with the habit contract clarifying exactly what to do each day. Harris lost the weight. To make bad habits unsatisfying, your best option is to make them painful in the moment. Creating a habit contract is a straightforward way to do exactly that. Even if you don't want to create a full-blown habit contract, simply having an accountability partner is useful. The comedian Margaret Cho writes a joke or a song every day. She does the song a day challenge with a friend, which helps them both stay accountable. Knowing that someone is watching can be a powerful motivator. You are less likely to procrastinate or give up because there is an immediate cost. If you don't follow through, perhaps they'll see you as untrustworthy or lazy. Suddenly, you're not failing to uphold your promises to yourself, but also failing to uphold your promises to others. You can even automate this process. Thomas Frank, an entrepreneur in Boulder, Colorado, wakes up at 5:55 each morning, and if he doesn't, he has a tweet automatically scheduled that says it's 6:10 and I'm not up because I'm lazy. Reply to this for $5 via PayPal, limited 5. Assuming my alarm didn't malfunction. We are always trying to present our best selves to the world. We comb our hair and brush our teeth and dress ourselves carefully because we know these habits are likely to get a positive reaction. We want to get good grades and graduate from top schools to impress potential employers and mates and our friends and family. We care about the opinions of those around us because it helps if others like us. This is precisely why getting an accountability partner or signing a habit contract can work so well. Chapter Summary. The inversion of fourth law of behavior change is to make it unsatisfying. We are less likely to repeat a bad habit if it is painful or unsatisfying. An accountability partner can create an immediate cost to inaction. We are deeply about what others think of us, and we do not want others to have a lesser opinion of us. A habit contract can be used to add a social cost to any behavior. It makes the cost of violating your promises public and painful. Knowing that someone else is watching you can be a powerful motivator. The truth about talent. When genes matter and when they don't. Many people are familiar with Michael Phelps, who is widely considered to be one of the greatest athletes in history. Phelps has won more Olympic medals not only than any swimmer, but also more than any Olympian in any sport. Fewer people know the name Hicham El Guerrero, but he was a fantastic athlete in his own right. Elguero is a Moroccan runner who holds 2 Olympic gold medals and is one of the greatest middle distance runners of all time. For many years, he held a world record in the mile, 1,500 meter, and 2,000 meter races at the Olympic Games in Athens, Greece in 2004. He won gold in the 1,500 and 5,000 meter races. These two athletes are widely different in many ways. 4 starters are competed on the land and the other in water. But most notably, they differ significantly in height. Elguero is 5 feet 9 inches tall. Phelps is 6 feet 4 inches tall. Despite this 7-inch difference in height, the two men are identical in one respect. Michael Phelps and Hicham Elguero were the same length in seam on their pants. How is this possible? Phelps has relatively short legs for his height and a very long torso, the perfect build for swimming. Elguero has incredibly long legs and a short upper body, an ideal frame for distance running. Now imagine if these world-class athletes were to switch sports. Given his remarkable athleticism, could Michael Phelps become an Olympic caliber distance runner with enough training? It's unlikely. At peak fitness, Phelps weighed 194 pounds, which is 40% heavier than Elguero, who competed at an ultralight 138 pounds. Taller runners are heavier runners, and every extra pound is a curse when it comes to distance running. Against elite competition, Phelps would be doomed from the start. Similarly, Elguero might be one of the best runners in history, but it's doubtful he would ever qualify for Olympics as a swimmer. Since 1976, the average height of Olympic gold medalists in the men's 1,500 meter run is 5 feet 10 inches. In comparison, the average height of Olympic gold medalists in the men's 100 meter freestyle swim is 6 feet 4 inches. Swimmers tend to be tall and have long backs and arms, which are ideal for pulling through the water. Elguero would be at a severe disadvantage before he ever touched the pool. The secret to maximizing your odds of success is to choose the right field of competition. This is just as true with habit change as it is with sports and business. Habits are easier to perform and more satisfying to stick with when they align with your natural inclinations and abilities. Like Michael Phelps in the pool or Hicham Elguero on the tracks, you want to play a game where the odds are in your favor. Embracing this strategy requires the acceptance of the simple truth that people are born with different abilities. Some people don't like to discuss this fact. On the surface, their gene seems to be fixed, and it's not fun to talk about things you cannot control. Plus, phrases like biological determinism makes it sound like certain individuals are destined for success and others doomed to failure. But this is a short-sighted view of the influence of genes on behavior. The strength of genetics is also their weakness. Genes cannot be easily changed, which means they provide a powerful advantage in favorable circumstances and a serious disadvantage in unfavorable circumstances. If you want to dunk a basketball, being 7 feet tall is very useful. If you want to perform a gymnastics routine, being 7 feet tall is a great hindrance. Our environment determines the suitability of our genes and utility of our natural talents. When our environment changes, so do the qualities that determines success.